So today we rolled out the rest of our crypto operations API, which includes the ability to do signed data on-chain with a key or a Paymail, and the ability to do encrypted data on-chain with a key or a Paymail. So the idea is to basically make it extremely user-friendly to encrypt or decrypt data or to sign data on-chain. And you can see the presentation I gave at CoinGeek. We have another copy of the presentation on our YouTube page, which is basically ultimately all about allowing the users to own their data. So the idea is to basically allow the user to publish data on the blockchain that they can fully control and access independent of any particular application service provider, so that situations like what happened with me and Twitter, whereby basically I have a lot of followers on Twitter, but Twitter became very toxic for me, so I basically just lose all of my following on Twitter. So the idea is to allow people to properly own their data on the blockchain, and this can sort of be enabled in a way that's independent of any particular company. So I'm going to demo the new technology we have by showing you our encryption demo. So encryption is just one of the things you can do. I'm not going to demo everything. You can start to use your brain and imagine all of the different things you can do with this. But I'm going to show you a interesting encryption demo. So here's the docs, but let me just go directly to the demo here. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to create some data that I'm going to encrypt on-chain, and then I'm going to decrypt it from a different person. So I'm actually logged in as two different people right now. This is my primary account at MoneyButton, and then I have another test account here that I'm going to use to demo. So what I'm going to do in this account here, first of all, let me go figure out what the recipient's name is. So the recipient is just a test account here called 752@moneybutton.com. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to go into my primary account. I'm going to encrypt a message to this Paymail. So the data that I'm going to encrypt is just going to be, this is my example secret message. Please keep this secret. You are awesome. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to encrypt with a swipe. So what's happening here is when I encrypt this, it is creating a normal Bitcoin transaction, but it's actually also encrypting this message and pasting it inside of the transaction with the same keychain that I'm using to create the transaction itself. So let's watch this happen here. Let me make sure the button is updated there. And there we go. So it's now created this on-chain transaction. Now we don't have the peer-to-peer transaction endpoint enabled yet. In the future, the way this will work is you'll literally deliver it directly to the recipient. For now, they're going to have to copy it. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to go into my other person, and let's suppose they receive this transaction. What they do is they're going to decrypt the message. So this is 752 or whatever, and there you go. It's that quick. So what just happened was, so in the sender side, what actually happened was to retrieve the public key of 752@moneybutton.com and then encrypt this message inside the transaction. And so at 752@moneybutton.com, only 752@moneybutton.com has the corresponding private key. And so they can decrypt the message contained inside of this transaction. So not only did they decrypt a message, but actually the message was inside of a transaction, sort of stored immutably on the blockchain. Okay, so what I want to do is I want to go to our crypto documentation here and explain some of what's going on. So that was just a demo of doing this, and this demo is totally live right now, so you can try it out yourself and send some encrypted messages to people. You got to give them the transaction and the web page here. It's moneybutton.github.io/demos. Our documentation is located at docs.moneybutton.com. So you go to the front page, it looks like this, click on MoneyButton, and then here on the left side we've got the basic MoneyButton API, and that includes a new feature called Crypto Operations. And the basic idea of crypto operations is, normally when you send a payment, you send outputs, and you just list the outputs inside the transaction. Well, we have a new feature called Crypto Operations, which allows you to use the same keys that you're using to build the Bitcoin transaction to do other types of cryptography that is then saved in the form of variables inside of the transaction, or you can do it off-chain if you want to. If you leave the outputs blank, you can do things like, say, decrypt data without storing anything on-chain or without storing anything anywhere. So the basic idea here is, in this particular example, what I'm doing is I'm simply signing this data here. And so I'm building an output that's a data output, and I put these variables in the output directly. And then what I do is I call these methods. One is sign, one is public key, one is paymail. And what happens is it'll sign this data using these arguments and then replace this variable with whatever the value is coming out of this. So if you run this example, you can try this yourself, and it ends up putting a signature and a public key and a paymail inside the output. So we have expansive sort of API here. You can see all the crypto operations we have inside of our documentation. I won't explain everything, but you can sign, verify, encrypt, decrypt, as well as access public keys, addresses, and paymails. And we have a number of examples related to paymail signatures and paymail encryption. So the basic idea is we want to really solve this sort of user experience problem of this user owns their data philosophy. So we're making it so that these basic cryptographic operations are just accessible. All you have to do is swipe money button. From the perspective of the end user, it couldn't be simpler. The app just designs something like a peer-to-peer messaging system, a peer-to-peer chat system, or a storage system or something like this, and the user agrees and takes an action by swiping money button. And what that's actually doing is it's either signing an actual Bitcoin transaction, or in the case of something off-chain, it's doing some cryptography and returning the result. Okay, so that's all I have to say for today. We're going to have a bit more information tomorrow. I'm going to the Bitcoin SV meetup in San Francisco, so we'll have that information available for people, and we'll be putting out more documentation and articles and things like this and videos to explain all this stuff. Okay, so that's all I have to say for today. So thank you for listening, and please let us know if you have any comments or questions. You can join us in our Telegram group at t.me/moneybuttonhelp and talk with us and let us know what you think. All right, thank you.